Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again, and Superman, formerly known as Superman Legacy by James Gunn, both on the writing and directing side of things, will be what officially kicks off, at least cinematically on the film side in cinemas, the new DC universe curated by James Gunn in the middle part of 2025, with it actually, Superman the film, actually in the midst of filming as we speak, and with that, that film looks like it's going to be going into the back half of this year. Don't know an end date, but at least they'll still be doing it once we're in July and stuff like that. But we have a plethora of other projects, both film and TV wise, coming our way after Superman kicks it all off officially in 2025, with a variety of different characters getting focused in on, both on the film and TV side of things. And one of these projects is actually going to be related directly to Superman. Not just related because it's in the same universe and canon, but related because the character is going to be in the film of Superman. But on the other hand, another bit of a side of it, they're also related to Superman biologically. So in relation, it's related, I guess in relation there's in more ways than one, I guess. So it's nice. And this project is, of course, that of, you should be able to guess it, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Now, of course, there is debate as to whether this film will simplify as well and go down to being just called Supergirl, as Superman did go down from Superman Legacy. But I don't think that'll be the case. I think that just might have been a special case for Superman, but that might be a wait and see, who knows, Come 2 years from now, it might be known as Supergirl. I don't know. Who knows? But with Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, and the inspiration side of things when it comes to this upcoming film in this new DC universe, it is the only announced project that is named after its inspiration, like the actual movie title, and the suffix is, named directly after its inspiration. And many believe this will be a very close, if not borderline, like straight up adaptation of the comic it is named after, maybe with some slight changes here or there to maybe fit what's going on in this DC universe at the time and just various things like that. But if this is the main inspiration and seems like it is, quite a large inspiration and it's going to be a very faithful adaptation of the book, what is the story about and will it work in live action? Well, let's go over it. But of course, in the comment section down below, let me know your various thoughts on this. Are you excited for this movie? Where does it rank in your excitement levels for all the known projects within this DCU? Let me know in the comments. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, want to show your support, drop a like. Takes 2 seconds. So Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. The comic, it was written by Tom King and is actually a very recent comic, especially in regards to it being adapted into live action, as it was only released in 2021, so only 3-4 years ago. Now, the interesting side of this comic and adapting it into a movie is that it is a character study really at heart and diving into who Kara Zor-El, aka Supergirl, really is, with it not really having a ridiculous amount to do with Superman and that part of her life and all those different corners of the DC universe. But the story revolves around Kara on her 21st birthday, and with a bit of a personal struggle and identity struggle of sorts going on, including motivation to continue doing what she does as Supergirl, as well as various aspects of her personal life, she decides to go on a bit of a solo trip on her birthday, cleanse the soul if you want to put it, and I guess try and find a meanings to keep going. Now, she does this with Krypto by her side, so it makes you wonder if they're going to include Krypto in the film. James Gunn had teased that Krypto will be in his DCU, so I would assume that Krypto might be in it, but then there's some stuff in this movie, in the story that happens with Krypto, and it might nothing bad happens, but it might freak some people out when it happens, so they might avoid it. I don't know, wait and see, but it could be a part of the story that they don't include if they don't want to do it. I don't necessarily think it impacts the story too much not having Krypto there, but it'd also be a cool thing to introduce Krypto in this film. Anyway, during this solo trip of sorts, Kara comes across a young girl, which I can never pronounce her correctly. I think it's Ruthie or something like that. I just think of Kanye when I say her name. But anyway, Ruthie. We'll go Ruthie, sorry, just because it looks like Kanye. But anyway, she's called Ruthie. I have no idea if that's the correct pronunciation. Pronunciation, let me know if I'm wrong in the comments, because I know I probably am. But anyway, Ruthie is on a revenge mission of sorts and trying to take down the people that killed her father. So you can see there's a bit of a personal thing there for her, and also Kara has a bit of a, can see what she's going for, considering what happened to Kara and her parents and just her, her species or her kind, her race. Now, Ruthie wants Kara to help her and asks her for assistance, which Kara is somewhat hesitant on at first, but ultimately agrees to help her, especially when she sees the similarities between her and Ruthie. Now, this leads Kara to going back to Ruthie's planet, but here is the zinger. her planet has a red sun, which leads Kara to not having her powers. So this story requires Kara to find another part of her and still strive to do what she could do or would do back on Earth with her powers, but obviously without her powers in this Earth. So in this new challenge, without her powers on this planet, it's a bit of a struggle at first, but she, braves through it, if you want to put it, and she's able to bring justice to those who killed the father of Ruthie. Now, a lot of people might have seen, like, maybe if you're on Twitter or whatever, there's like the thing where she has the sword and stuff. I've seen people wondering, why does she have the sword if she's got powers? Because she loses the powers. Now, that could be a bit of a controversial thing because people don't really like it a lot of the time when they do the whole thing, the hero lost their powers and stuff. In this story, I think it works well. And as I said, it's like a character study and a very personal story. So it's about how you adapt it into the actual film. So that's probably the only concern, is how do you adapt that story, because it works in the comic, but how do you adapt it into live action and not make people roll their eyes? Because sometimes that whole, that like concept or premise of the hero loses their powers, or this really powerful person loses their powers and have to get through it in a different way, it can make people roll their eyes immediately when they hear it. So that's probably one of the struggles there. Though the comic did it well, will the live action movie do it well also? So that really depends on, I guess, like the pacing and the tone and stuff, or pacing and the writing, but also like, I guess, the actor's performance as well, and whether or not they sell it. Now, I won't get into any more real spoilery bits outside of that basic outline, some of the little things I included, as I don't want to, I guess, most likely ruin some great stuff that goes down, not only in the comic if you want to go read it, but also in the movie when they adapt it, because we're going to assume most of the movie will be accurate to the original comic, especially if you're going to name it after the comic. So you'd assume it's going to be at least 90% accurate, at least in regards to the events that go down. But you can see the character study side of things from that outline that I read or just talked about, and the challenges that Kara has to overcome and brave through while dealing with that struggle. Now, she could easily just throw in the towel and go, I'm going back to Earth, see ya. But this will lead into bigger and better things, and though it might seem like a very unorthodox way, I guess you could say, to introduce a character into a new universe of sorts with this upcoming DCU by having a completely disconnected, but I guess maybe starting off at a point of familiarity potentially at the beginning of the film, the fact it does vary from what many would expect means it does have the chance to be the best start possible and lead the character to becoming a fan favorite from the get-go. So it's maybe a bit of a risk, but I also think it's based off something that was well received, so that lessens the risk. It's just about the general public and whether they buy into it. Now, I think one of the bigger questions and things people are wondering is like, maybe how is it like set up in Superman the movie? Is it, or even if it's set up at all, we don't really know the context of Supergirl's appearance in Superman. It could easily be some like disconnected flashback or something like that, like have nothing to do with it. Like, who knows? It maybe even be like a short post-credit scene. Like, we don't really know. And technically, James Gunn hasn't even confirmed that Supergirl's in Superman. It's pretty much every other source outside of James Gunn. And that's maybe just because he wants to keep it. It's something that he can maybe keep secret. And it might also be just like, in regards to limiting maybe even it leaking out potentially, because it might be filmed in a public space. We don't know. That's for us to wait and see. But unlike some of the other videos we've done previewing and sort of going over the inspirations for when it comes to this like new DCU and the projects within it, that's coming our way, we actually have a few elements for this film already that's out in the open when it comes to Supergirl, and that's been confirmed, both by James Gunn and just sources and stuff like that. Now, the first being Supergirl herself, that will be played by Millie Alcock. She was cast about a month or so ago before this video, or before making this video at the very least, and the general consensus is that she is a good fit, which I agree with, especially when it comes to fitting this type of Supergirl and Kara that's needed for this Woman of Tomorrow storyline. If we're basing it off the comic, bit of a punk, edge to it, and that's sort of the Supergirl that you get in this story. So I think Millie relates to that one. Of course, if you go to like a classic Supergirl that people might be looking at, they might have gone for a different actress, but in regards to this story and what they're doing here, she's a really good fit. So it's probably just how they continue that journey with this character after this movie, because you probably can't just do a similar tone and style that this story does, just because it works for what it is. But when it goes back to being on Earth and stuff like that, which we're going to assume would happen with Supergirl, you probably have to change it. So that's probably more for Millie to grow into when she's this character in future projects. But we also have the writer of the film revealed, and that was in the form of Anna Nagira. Though the big thing is that Tom King, the original writer of the comic story who I mentioned before, he's also one of the architects within James Gunn's DC team. I think they're calling him the architects, I think. I don't know, might be a bit pretentious, I don't know. But anyway, it's essentially a writer's room of sorts for this universe, and he's a big part of it. So you would think he will also be a part of the production of this movie in some way, shape, or form, maybe being a producer in some capacity as well. We don't know, but you just assume he is. Now, there is no release date for this movie as of yet. The only release date we have for anything, even something coming out later this year, like Creature Commanders, we don't have a release date. We only have a release date for Superman in July next year. So who knows what's happening with this one. It does seem like it will be the next movie to start production after Superman. So maybe by the end of the year, like cameras might roll, or maybe sometime early next year in the first half. But it has like the most balls rolling, if you want to put it, when it comes to the DC film side of things coming our way, outside of the obvious of Superman, you know, the movie of Superman. So yeah, we'll probably get some more updates and stuff in regards to this, but the base, you know, line for this film, it's probably the one where we have the most knowledge of what the movie is going to be, just because it's based off an already existing thing. And as we said, we should at least get like a 90%, or even if we want to be a bit more harsh, like an 80% accuracy rating to the original source material. So that's a good thing, because at least gives you an idea of what's going to be coming, but also you want to allow the writer and director and even the actress playing Supergirl to have their own individual flair, and it just depends on the context of the universe in regards to what they remove and what they add and everything like that. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, be awesome if you could drop a like and a show support. Let me know in the comments section down below your various thoughts and everything you went over this video. You're excited for this film? Have you read the comic? Let me know in the comments. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.